What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Musi Gaming here, and today I want to talk to you about Alfonso, the latest addition to the engineering commander lineup in Rise of Kingdoms that Rise of Kingdom official channel just released a skill information of. Now, as you guys might have seen from the thumbnail as well as the title of this video, I personally don't think this commander is really that strong, and I'll go over a little bit of why that's the case. Well, don't get me wrong, I think he's a good addition to the engineering lineup, to be really honest, but I don't think he's actually stronger than the top tier engineering commanders that are in the game right now. And I'll go over in a bit why I think so. Alright, but first, let's just go ahead and take a look at his kit, right? Commander skill, the active skill of this commander is called Thalassocracy. I don't know if I said this name correctly, but it's an AoE range damage dealing skill that has range requirement of 1000, and if this commander's troop is not within the melee range of the current target, it does 800 damage factor that does get reduced by the number of targets hit up to 3 enemy troops and reduces their damage dealt by 10%. So actually, one of the main reasons why I don't think this commander is good is in this skill right here. Well, again, I don't think he's bad, but I don't think he's as amazing as what other content creators are hyping him up for, right? I've seen other content creators who has many more followers than I do, who has released videos without really thinking deeply into why this commander is good or bad. But then again, just because this commander does range AoE damage, I think a lot of people have just assumed that this commander was good. But you know, I played around in Rage. I actually talk a lot with Kevin, who has like 3 to 4 range marches in his lineup for his farms as well as his main account, and I've actually taken a look. I've actually paid good attention to my range commanders as well as the range lineup for a very long time. Now, with that said, the reason why I don't think this skill is good is simple, because it does range skill damage, not range smite damage or not range combo damage. It does range skill damage of 800 damage factor. Now, granted, it does have a little bit of utility by reducing target's damage dealt by 10% for 2 seconds, which is actually really good. It's good utility that a range commander can do, but 800 damage factor dealt to 3 different targets, that is practically about, let's see, that is practically about 1680 damage factor that you can do in a range commander at max, right? Even if you hit 3 targets, that's the maximum amount of damage that you can do, 1680. And yeah, I honestly don't think that this is bad, but I don't think this is as amazing as a lot of YouTube content creators are actually hyping up for. And I'll go over, and I'll switch over to the game and why I think that's the case, right? So let's look at the comparable commander here, which is Gonzalo. Gonzalo is an AoE smite damage dealing commander. So this commander actually does AoE range damage, but he does damage in a smite damage format. And then this commander right here deals range smite damage to up to 3 enemy troops centered around the target troop with damage factor of 2400 damage factor, reduced by 50% if it is not in the melee range. So Gonzalo does 1200 damage factor damage to whoever he basically uses his active skill on. And then that, when it is hit by 3 different enemy targets, that goes up to 2520, which is a lot more than what the latest commander is about to do with 1680, right? Again, 1680, 2520. There is a huge gap between what the damage output, potential damage output each commander has between this commander and the only other commander that does range skill AoE damage in this game, right? So yeah, compared to Gonzalo, he's not really doing that much damage. Granted that Gonzalo doesn't really have that utility of reducing that damage of 10% for 2 seconds, but this damage right here, honestly, and also we also have to account for the fact that this is a ranged smite damage, right? The good thing about smite damage is that, unlike skill damage, which is what the new commander does, smite damage, there's not that many ways that you can actually reduce the damage of. And that's why smite and pincer is so good right now also on open field, because there's not that many ways that you can actually reduce the damage that you take from normal damage, smite damage, combo damage, and so forth. So I think the damage type, Gonzalo wins. Total damage amount, Gonzalo wins. And also at the same time, I think if you look at, let's just go ahead and go back to engineering commanders, codex for V formation, right? When you look at V formation's armaments, right, and special inscriptions that you can actually find those, a lot of those damage buffing inscriptions are actually buffing range normal damage dealt instead of range damage dealt, right? Let's look at sharpshooter, right? This commander's troop gains 5% damage boost to range normal damage dealt, and then whenever it launches a basic attack, it has 10% chance to spend 50 rage to increase the damage of the attack by 50%. Let's go check full draw. It does give you, it doesn't really give you the range normal damage buff, but it does give you 50. It does spend 50% 50 rage to gain 25% normal damage buff and stuff, right? Where is the loose? Yeah, if you check loose while in V formation, whenever your wielder's troop launches a basic attack, it has 20%, 10% chance to deal. Okay, so this is not the one that has the normal damage buff. Let's check out other ones. Okay, this one right here, drilled. The wielder's troop gains 5% boost to range normal damage dealt. While attacking in range, every 20% of the units that the target has lost, the wielder's troop gains 3% up to 3 gains a 3% bonus to range normal damage dealt, up to 12%. So any of those, like a lot of those, like V formation inscriptions actually is designed just so that it actually does more range normal damage buff. Same goes to probably this one right here, 2% range normal damage dealt buff, and then while in range mode, their troops deal 5% more range normal damage dealt to enemies with less than 50% remaining. Again, this whole V formation thing is actually designed so that it buffs up the range normal damage buff, not necessarily the range skill damage buff. So that's why I think that this is one of the main reasons why I think the new commander is not good, because for one, it does range skill damage, which there's not that many ways that you can actually buff that and amplify that, because range V formations inscriptions are all designed around giving more range normal damage, not necessarily range skill damage or range all damage, whatever you like to call it, right? So again, let's just go ahead and check everything else. Merciless. The increase the skill damage resistance of the wielder's troop by 5%. Increase the attack of the wielder's siege units by 30% after entering for 10 seconds after entering the battle. Okay, so this one is not actually designed for a range normal damage buff. Ballistics. There you go. So when in V range mode, the wielder's troop deals 3% more damage, while not in V formation. Okay, so this is actually all damage. So this one's actually not that bad. And then let's just go ahead and check out the Imperial Decree. Look at that. The special inscription for this slot right here, the wielder's troop gains 10% boost to range normal damage dealt. Okay. So whenever there's a range normal damage buff, only the range smite damage or range combo damage or the just regular auto attack is going to get the buff. And if you have, let's say, something like range skill damage buff, like the new commander has, it's not going to really benefit too much from it. I think the second, the rare inscription is still the same, 4% extra damage to range normal damage though. and then line shot. While in V formation, the wielder's troop deals 5% more range normal damage. Again, I think this commander would have been just fine, and actually would have been probably the second most valuable commander for you to max for range commander, the engineering commander users. But because this commander does range direct damage, it is for one hard to find the best synergy with the best range commander that we have currently, which is the Gonzalo right now, which does have range smite damage bonus, as well as I think that there's some sort of range normal damage buff right there too. Yeah, range normal damage bonus right here. And the only best pairing for that is actually Gazamata, which for 5 seconds after using active skill does 2500 damage factor of smite damage every time in total whenever their troop launches a basic attack. Granted that you could actually walk out of this and get out of range for this, but then again, you really can't compare 1680 damage factor to 2500 damage factor that the Gazamata does, and 2520 that the Gonzalo can do in range damage, range smite damage as well. So I don't know. That's probably one of the reasons why I don't think the new commander. I don't think the new commander is trash. Don't get me wrong, but I think he's kind of meh because he does skill damage. Although the fact that he does range AoE is by itself is okay, but I think a lot of what the YouTubers are currently missing out on is just because of the fact that a lot of people are just because of the fact that he does range damage, range AoE damage, his damage factor is actually really low compared to Gonzalo, and that there's not that many ways that you can actually buff range direct damage or range skill damage anywhere in Armament side. So yeah, so that's basically the active skill. Let's just go ahead and get to the second skill. This commander's siege units gain 20% march speed, 25% health, 10% attack, very standard stuff. Total stats is okay, actually, about 55%. Duke of the Goa, very strong skill. Okay, let's go ahead and check out the third skill. Whenever this commander's troop deals range skill damage, while it is in range mode, it takes 5% less damage for the next 10 seconds. This effect can stack up to 4 times. Now, whenever this commander does range skill damage, you can actually take up to 20% less damage. There are other commanders that can actually keep this up probably all times as soon as you active skill the first time. So I think this is a really good buff. 20% less skill damage taken, less damage taken overall is really good. This combined with counterattack damage reduction, this keeps your kind of range march in a very safe way either way. His third skill and expertise. So whenever this commander's troop launches a ranged basic attack, it has a 30% chance to deal extra 300 damage factor and reduces the march speed by 10% for 2 seconds. This gets buffed up to 400 damage factor with 50% chance, and then reduces the march speed by 15 seconds with cooldown of 5 seconds. So this is actually pretty good. This actually probably keeps him up to the date, basically, in terms of the total damage that he can do in a 10-second window. Most likely this would actually trigger twice. But then again, there's other commanders that do this too, you know? And it's not really too exciting, again, just because of the fact that this is a skill damage though. But then again, the utility of reducing the march speed is really good. But the march speed reduction of 15%, I'm not too sure if that's kind of game breaking to a degree as well. And if it is in the melee range, it will do 700 damage factor, but 400 damage factor in general. You're gonna most likely trigger it 1.7 times to 2 times per each kind of skill cycle that you're in. So pretty good skill overall for the expertise. But again, why I think that this commander is meh is because a lot of new engineering commander like new governors that basically make their one engineering march. Those people who are not mainly engineering marches for their accounts, which I think a lot of people don't have more than one engineering march added to their lineup. I don't think he's the commander that you can actually choose to include in that one commander pairing at the end of the day. Because again, like I was saying, ooh, network unstable, connection lost. Oh no. Yeah, but again, it just isn't on par with the power level of let's see. It just isn't on par with the power level of Gaza and Gonzalo's just combined together, right? It very well could be maybe comparable to Margaret, who does I think about 900 damage factor, but you know, again, most people only have one range march added to their lineup. And if you have Gaza Mata and Gonzalo on the field, you're probably not going to work on your second range march unless you're really, really invested in it, like my friend Kevin in in my YouTube channel as well as my Discord channel, right? And my overall kind of evaluation of him is simple. If you are an engineering main, if you're a siege main, I think he's good for your second or the third best engineering march. But in all honesty, I don't think he's your top priority. I think your top priority should always be Gaza Mata and Gonzalo. Like those two pairing. This guy would do up to what 1200 2500 damage factor, well reduced by 50% while not in the ability range, so 1250 damage factor of smite, right? But it does buff the smite that normal damage, and his whole kit could just work much better with Gonzalo than anything else, right? So I don't know. I don't know. I personally don't think that this commander is going to be your top priority. But if you're building your second range march, if you're building your third range march, by all means, I think feel free to go ahead and get him, and at least just get him 5-1-1-1 or expertise him so that he can be actually used on the field. But I don't know. I don't think he's as good as what a lot of people kind of hype him up to be. But what do you guys think? Please let me know down in the comment down below. But if you guys did like today's video, please go ahead and drop a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And as always, I'll see you all in the next video. All right, peace.